Wysteria, energy, twister.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. We're going back to our fairy tales, but they're a little bit different because they're coming from different perspectives. So I told a fairy tale once called Mr. Fox, and we heard it from the narrator's point of view, but this time we're going to hear it from the young maiden's point of view, not from the foxes nor from a narrator's, and that's what makes it very different. So, Mr. Fox. When I first fell in love with Mr. Fox, he warned me, "You can't trust me, my dear. Just when you think I am there, I am gone. I am nowhere. Look, I am wearing a mask. Who does that? Thieves. By the time the autumn leaves have fallen, you will mourn my absence." And yet, I couldn't help it. After all, he was wearing such a dashing red coat, like a soldier. He had such a twinkle in his eye. He danced so nimbly, holding my hands, in paws on which he wore black kid gloves. His tail ended in a white tuft. I knew about the others, of course, or at least I'd heard rumours. I knew he was no innocent. I knew about the one who had drowned herself in a river, her muslin gown floating around her. I knew about the one who had locked herself away in a convent. How does one fall out of love with a thief who has already stolen one's heart? But I was cautious. I went to his castle in the woods. "Be bold," said a sign above the gate. "Be bold, but not too bold. I've never been good at listening to advice or taking it." I was too bold, as usual. What did I find? First, a pleasant parlour with blue silk curtains and rosewood furniture, perfectly charming. Then a library filled with books from Shakespeare and W.B. Yeats, a kitchen with no implements, more dangerous than a paring knife beside a barrel of apples, waiting to be turned into cider, bathrooms with modern plumbing, a dining room that contained a mahogany table large enough for banquets, but seldom used, judging by the dust. Where was his secret chamber? There must be one, on top of a desk in his study. I'd seen a photograph of a girl who drowned beside a vase of lilies, like a memorial, and there it was, at the end of the carpeted hallway. I knew what it must lead to, that small door. It was locked, of course, but I took out my lockpick tools. If he was a thief, I was another. It opened easily. There was no blood on the floor. There were no dead, disembodied or dismembered wives hanging from hooks. Instead, the walls were covered with masks. Fox, badger, mole, bear, weasel, otter, squirrel, even one that resembled a tree. All the masks he had worn, presumably. And on one wall, opposite the window, which badly needed washing, was a portrait of an ordinary man with sandy hair and tired eyes. I locked the room behind me. "At our wedding," he said. "Are you sure, my dear?" with a toothy grin that seemed wicked, but was, I thought, a little anxious. "To marry the dangerous Mr. Fox?" I asked. "Who knows? You might gobble me up, but I'll take my chances." He seemed satisfied and swung me into a waltz. There's a moral to this story, ladies. Have your own set of lockpick tools, and also be bold and wise and cunning, like a fox. And that's for the love of Mr. Fox. Now we move on to another one, which I am sure we all know Little Red is, but what her mother said. "Go, my child, through the forest to your grandmother's house in a glade, where poppies with red mouths grow. In this basket is an egg laid 3 days ago. The 3 days our Lord lay sleeping, unspotted from a white hen. In this basket is also skin of wool, without stain unspun, and a comb that the bees industriously filled from the clover in the far pasture, unmown since the sun thawed it last spring. If you can take it without breaking anything, I will give you this ring. Stay, child, and I'll give you this cap, to wear to the forest creatures whose eyes blink from the undergrowth will be aware that my love protects you, the creatures lurking beneath the trees, weasels and stoats and foxes and worse than those. And child, you must be wise in the forest. When the wolf finds you, remember, be courteous but evasive. No answer is better than a foolish one. If you stray from the path, know that I strayed also. It is no great matter, so long as you mark the signs where moss grows on bark, where a robin builds a nest, the sun sailing west. But do not stop to gather the hawthorn flowers, nor yet the red berries which so resemble coral beads. They are poisonous, and do not stop to listen to the reeds. It must not be there first, at your grandmother's house. When your grandmother serves you with a silver spoon on a dish like a porcelain moon, wolf soup, remember to say your grace before you eat, and know that I am pleased with you, my child. But remember, when returning through the forest, kept warm against the night by a cloak of a wolf's pelt, the hunter is also a wolf. And that brings us to the next. Snow, blood, fur. Now, this is also regarding Little Red, but she's grown up. She looks at herself in the full-length mirror of the bridal salon. She resembles a winter landscape, hills and hollows covered with snow, white and sparkling. She is the essence of purity, as a wall that has ever blown through in a chill wind. The veil falls and falls to her feet, and she shivers. "Are you cold?" her mother asks. She shakes her head, but she is cold, or rather she is a snow queen. If she breathed on the mirror, it would frost over. "Well, you look beautiful, just beautiful." Nana would have been so proud. When she gets home, she goes up to her bedroom and opens the closet door. In one corner, in a wooden toy box she has kept from her childhood, is a wolf's skin. She puts it on, draping it around her shoulders, then steps into the closet, pulls the door closed behind her, and sits down beside a parade of high-heeled shoes. It is dark, as dark as she imagines it must have been in the belly of the wolf. Sometimes she still has nightmares. She's walking through the forest, pine needles and oak leaves crunch under her boots. Once in a while, blackberry bushes pull her dress, so she has to stop and untangle. She's wearing the red cloak her grandmother knitted and felted. In it, she looks like a Swiss girl, demure, flaxen-haired, a Christmas angel. Her grandmother gave it to her for her 16th birthday. Suddenly on the path ahead of her is the wolf. Dark fur, slavering red mouth, sharp pricked ears, yellow eyes as wide as undiscovered countries. Or is it a young man, a hunter by his outfit? He had a tweed cap on his head with a feather in it, and is carrying a rifle. When he sees her, he bows, although she cannot tell if he is serious or mocking her. "Aren't you afraid of the wolf, mistress?" He has been seen in that forest. "Perhaps I should escort you, wherever you might be going." In a basket is a bottle of blackberry cordial, a small cake with currants. She's taken them to her grandmother, who has rheumatism. She's been told to beware wolves and young men. She shakes her head, eyes down. Hurriedly she passes him, but she's about to reach the bend in the path that will take her out of sight. She turns back just once to look. The wolf is standing in the middle of the path. Then it disappears through the trees off the path, where she's not allowed to go. When she reaches her grandmother's house, small, tidy, with green shutters, apples ripening on the crooked tree, bees dancing around the skep. She knocks on the door, and hearing no answer, she opens it. There is no one in the parlour. She puts the cordial and cake in the pantry, leaves the basket on the kitchen table. Nana, she calls out. Could her grandmother be asleep? In the bedroom, which smells of lavender, all she sees in the bed is a young man, naked. She'd never seen a naked man before. He is beautiful and grotesque and frightening. Red, come to bed, he says. You see, I have gotten here before you. She takes off her red cloak. Her mother calls her. The florist is here with a centrepiece. Where are you? She knows what it will look like. Lilies and gladiolas. So perfect, they seem to be artificial. Scentless. It's very quiet in the closet. It's very dark. She draws up her knees and puts her arms around them. When she wakes up, the wolf is lying next to her, where she lay. The sheets are spotted with blood. He has left his rifle on the chair beside his discarded clothing. She rises still naked. Her father taught her how to use a rifle. One shot and his body jumps. On the bed, he yelps, although she does not know if he has woken up or passed directly from dreams into death. 2 shots, and he lies still. Her fiancé works for an accounting firm. Leroy has such a good job, says her mother. He'll take care of you. What more could a woman want? When he touches her, she shudders, as though his fingers were made of ice. The police say she's very brave. Did they not find the remains of her grandmother at the edge of the woods, buried under oak leaves, mauled? That is the only word. Mauled, gnawed, half-eaten. They make her sit and drink a glass of blackberry cordial. For the shock, they say. There is blood on the bed. A great deal of blood. It is the wolf's blood, they say, and she nods. Later her mother will bleach the sheets, but whenever she looks at them, she will think there was blood there, and here, and here. The cake has arrived, the cake has arrived. It has tiers and tiers of vanilla sponge, ice with fondant, topped with sugar roses. She imagines the table downstairs, in the dining room, the cake, the flowers, the gifts on display. Le Mange's desserts, plates engraved, demitasse spoons. Wearing the wolf skin. She does not have to be herself anymore. She does not have to be red. She can run and be something else entirely. Pain, longing, anger. She can be silence if she wants to. She can be the word no. What about Leroy? He's no wolf. But wolves, she has learned, are not the dangerous ones after all. This is a fairy tale, so all times are the same time. All times are now. She's always walking down the path, letting the white silk slip fall from her feet, pointing the rifle at the sleeping wolf, telling the story, the only story that makes sense to the policeman. She's always trying on a wedding dress. It is always the season for blackberries and small red apples. She's always sitting in the darkness, warm and safe, and she's always running through the forest under oaks and pines. All she wants is a wolf's pelt, made into a cloak. Her mother does not think it's suitable, but her father consults the furrier. The red cloak has grown too small for her. She will wear the fur cloak, so much warmer in winter. She wears it to visit her grandmother's grave in the parish churchyard. Nana, she says to the headstone. Nana, I'm so sorry. She's fairly certain that if she wears the white dress, the one that makes her look immaculate, the one she may someday be buried in, drops of blood will appear on the bodies, then streaks will run down the skirt. It will turn as red as a poppy among the wheat, as a flame on a match. She rises, opens the closet door, climbs out the window in the branches of the oak tree, then drops down on all fours and lopes slowly, knowing that no one is watching, toward the forest. She only stops once to howl. And the idea of that fairy tale is that when she was younger, yes, she did meet the wolf. The wolf bit her, of course he did, but did not hurt anyone. She was the one that mauled and ate her grandmother, then buried her. She's the one that killed the other wolf and blamed him for the murder of her grandmother. She's now the one that's abandoning her wedding and going back into the woods as a wolf, because she turns into a wolf. Red is the wolf. That's the story of Red. And of course, the story of little Mrs. Fox as well, I guess. Thank you for listening, and many blessings.
Wysteria. Energy. Twister.